Hello, Darren Alf here from bicycletouringpro.com. This past April, I traveled to southeastern France to participate in a week-long self-guided bicycle tour with a tour company called Belle France, which offers cycling and walking tours all across France. Now, this particular tour was called the Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour, which is a high-end self-guided bicycle tour in southeastern France. Now, I originally published 5 short video vlogs from my time on the Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour here on the Bicycle Touring Pro YouTube channel. But now I have gone back and I've pieced together those 5 videos so that you can watch the entire Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour from beginning to end in this one video. I hope you enjoy watching this as much as I enjoyed participating in the tour. Hello, Darren Alf here from bicycletouringpro.com. I am in southeastern France right now, and today is the first day of the Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour with Belle France. Belle France is a tour company that offers walking and cycling tours in France, and this is one of their most popular bicycle tours. Now, several months ago I asked my readers, you guys at bicycletouringpro.com, which bicycle tour you would like to see me do in France, and I gave you a whole bunch of different options. But in the end, this is the bike tour you guys said you wanted to see me go on. So here I am in Avignon, France, on the first day of the Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour, and I look forward to sharing the adventure with you. Avignon is a fortified city of approximately 100,000 people, located on the edge of the Rhone River in southeastern France. The city is famous for being the place to which the Catholic popes fled when leaving the corruption of Rome in the 14th century. And the palace the popes built once arriving in Avignon is still standing today as the world's largest Gothic edifice and one of the city's most popular tourist attractions. Now, I've pulled off the side of the road here, so you may be able to hear some of the traffic going by in the background. I'm sorry about that. But one of the first things that you might notice is that I have a bicycle behind me. This is actually my bicycle that I brought with me on this particular bike tour. But most of the people who participate in this bike tour do not bring their own bicycle. In fact, most of the people just use one of the rental bikes that is provided by Belle France. This makes it super easy for you to travel to France without a bike, show up, have the bike and everything you need for the bike tour waiting for you when you arrive. All you have to bring with you are your clothes, your toiletries, and your camera, and a little bit of money, credit card, etc. That's it. So it's super simple to just show up here in France and enjoy a week-long cycling adventure. The other thing that you might notice about my bicycle is that I'm not carrying a whole lot of gear on the bike. I've got a small handlebar bag up here and a larger pannier bag in the back of the bike and nothing else. If you've seen me on some of my previous trips, I carry like 4 of these big pannier bags on my bicycle. But on this particular trip, my luggage is transported for me from hotel to hotel to hotel, so I don't have to carry the weight of all of the stuff I pack for me on my bicycle. Instead, I can just pack a small amount of stuff. I've got my jacket in here. Well, I'm wearing it at the moment. I have room for my jacket in there. I have some food, some valuables, some maps and things that the company gave me for the rest of the trip, and that's basically it. And in the handlebar bag, I have my camera and my wallet. So it makes it very, very easy for you to, 1, show up in France and enjoy a bike tour. You don't have to bring your own bike. And 2, you don't have to carry the weight of all your gear on your bicycle because the company is going to transport your luggage for you from hotel to hotel. Upon arriving in Avignon, I took a taxi from the train station to my first hotel, which had an impressive garden, a swimming pool, and spacious studio-like rooms with hardwood floors and luxurious lofted ceilings. The other thing that I should tell you about this bike tour is that I am not the typical clientele. In fact, most of the people who participate in this bike tour, as well as the other bike tours with Belle France, most of these people are between the ages of 45 and 70 years old. So if you're the type of person that enjoys a good cycling adventure, but doesn't necessarily want to camp on the ground and go for days without a shower, this is the sort of bike tour that I think you would highly enjoy. Now, this is a bike tour that you may want to do on an anniversary trip, a birthday trip, or just as a summer holiday. A lot of people do these tours with their significant other. This is also a good kind of trip to do with a friend or a group of friends. Most people do not do these trips alone in the way that you're going to see me doing it today. One of the first things I noticed while cycling in this part of France was just how beautiful the plant life was, not only out on the public streets, but in front of the private houses as well. Unfortunately, a lot of the houses were hidden behind high walls and gates, so I found myself cycling past the gates and kind of peeking in order to get a glimpse of the gardens in front of these impressive French homes. So I started the day with my jacket on. It was a little cold when I left the hotel this morning, but the sun is out now. It's really nice. Just took my jacket off. Spectacular weather, really. I mean, perfect for cycling. Not too hot, not too cold. One of the great things about a self-guided bike tour like this is that you're free to go as fast or as slow as you want to. I got a late start this morning, no problem. I'm stopping along the way and seeing everything I want to see, no problem. And this is something that's really great about self-guided bicycle tours, where there is no guide to escort you along your route, and instead you're given a guidebook or a treasure map that will lead you from one hotel to the next. All of the route details are in here. Every turn that I need to make on my particular bike tour is here, as well as points of interest, restaurants, supermarkets, a whole lot more. The thing that I really enjoy though about self-guided bicycle tours is the fact that I can stop whenever I want to, and I can go as fast or as slow as I want to on any particular day. So how has the cycling been thus far? Pretty darn good. I'm going up a hill right now and the sign said it is a 10% grade. So kind of steep, but at least it's short. So this particular bike tour is not entirely flat. There are some hills, but nothing too big thus far at least. This is probably the biggest one of the whole trip. This is a steep hill, 10% grade. I'm almost at the top though, so not too bad. But even though I'm pretty tired,
after that one. Whew. So I got my jacket back on. It got a little cold. Some clouds coming over and rain is in the forecast for tomorrow. It is 4:30 p.m. I've kind of just been tooting along, taking lots of photos, shooting lots of video, and I realized how late it was, and I was like, oh gosh, I better hurry up and get to the hotel. I've been cruising at like 18, 19, 20 kilometers an hour pretty much all day, except for on those hill sections, which there's been 3 of so far. All 3 hills were short, which is the good news, and the rest of the route is relatively flat, or just like moderate like ups and downs where you can barely even tell that you're going up a hill. So really nice, and as you can see, there's not a lot of cars on the road. All right, so I'm pulling into town now. I just got to find my hotel for tonight somewhere here in town. Here's the sign for the hostel. After settling into my hotel, I took a short walk around the city center to take photos and shoot a little video. Then I returned to the hotel just in time for a 3-course meal in the hotel dining room. Okay, I'm in my hotel now. Today was the first day of cycling. I covered about 40 kilometers, which is about 25 miles. It honestly felt a little bit more than that, and I think that's because I stopped so many times to explore the little villages that we were going through today. There were just so many things to stop and see along the way that I would get into a town and I'd be like, oh, let's go over there and see what that is, and oh, let's go over there and see what that is. Every time I turned around, I was taking another picture. There was just always something to see. Even like the weeds coming out of the cracks in the ground, I thought were beautiful. So it was a really spectacular day. And the cycling was pretty moderate, I would say. It wasn't totally easy. There were a couple hills, but it's something really that anybody could do. There was nothing like extremely hard. There was one hill that had a 10% grade, which was pretty steep. Even at the end, I was thinking, oh gosh, I need one more gear. But I did get to the top, and I think anybody could get to the top, even if you stop halfway up and then do the rest, in a second effort. So overall, a really good day of bicycle touring. The hotel here is beautiful. I just finished a dinner in the dining room, and I'm eating it by myself, which is a little strange. Everyone in there is in a party of 2 or 3 or 4, and then there was me eating all alone by myself a 3-course meal here in France. But I suffered through it for you guys. It was great. And they had no problem serving me a vegetarian meal, which was great as well. Good morning, Darren Alf here from BicycleTouringPro.com. This is the parking garage for the hotel, and they had me leave my bicycle right here. I have it chained to this railing, so it was kind of outside, but inside, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna unlock my bike, and then we're gonna get going here. Alright, good morning. So I'm back on the bike now, and if you can see, I'm wearing my jacket. There's a little bit of moisture on the road. It did rain a little bit earlier this morning, but right now it's not raining. So there is rain in the forecast for today, about 70% chance of rain. But if it stays like this, it'll be very, very nice. At the moment, I just left the hotel in the town that I was staying in, and now I'm going up a slight hill, which I think is the biggest hill of the day, and then it should flatten out and be pretty nice for the rest of the day. We're going about 49 kilometers, which is about 29 miles, so yeah, have a great day in store. Yesterday started out with a climb as well, and both climbs, today and yesterday, the hills were like just steep enough that you didn't really know you were climbing very much. It looks like I'm going up a big hill, but I'm barely feeling it at all. So the gradient is like perfect. It's really easy. Beautiful scenery too. There's almost no one on the road. This is what cyclists dream of right here.
down in the flatland. It has just started raining. It's not raining too bad, but I have both of my jackets on and the sky is gray ahead of me. All right, so the rain has let up here. I pulled over to the side of the trail. I'm having an apple break. Today has been really nice despite the weather, actually. My favorite part though was actually the hill at the very beginning of the ride. That area was just so quiet and so beautiful. I really liked it, even though I was climbing a hill. And then obviously the descent is always good as well. Now I'm in the flatlands. I'm in like vineyard country, and the riding is easy. There's a couple like dirt road or gravel road sections, very small, but it's flat. It's very flat and very easy going. So, and you go a few kilometers, you go into a little village, then you go out into the countryside again, then you go back into a little village, then you go back into the countryside, and then just repeat that over and over and over again. It's really nice. So you don't have to go like super long distances without food, without water, without, you know, something to look at and see. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Alright, so the rain has let up a little bit here and I'm on a quiet road, so I thought this would be a good time for me to talk a little bit about speaking French, because I only know about 5 words in French, and those 5 words are oui oui mon chéri, bonjour mademoiselle, that's about it. So au revoir, and that's all I know in French. So a lot of people are hesitant about going to a country where they don't speak the language, and France actually has kind of a poor reputation for being somewhat mean or snobby to people who don't speak French. But thus far, people have been really nice to me, and the people at the hotels, they've all spoken English, or at least a little bit of English. So it's not been bad. There was a moment last night when I was eating dinner at the restaurant. I sat down and the waitress said something to me in French, and I said, "I'm sorry," just in English, and you know, hoping that she would take the hint that I don't speak French. But no, she said it again in French, and I said, "I'm sorry, I have no idea what you just said." And then she said, do you want wine? Do you want wine? I think she was asking me if I wanted a very specific type of wine. But I said, no wine, just water or something. And then she came back with the menu a few minutes later, and she said, "Do you speak French, sir?" I said, no, I don't speak French. And then so she started to translate the menu for me. "We have snails, we have fish." And I said, "Oh, I'm vegetarian." "Oh." And then, you know, she went on to help me get a meal that would be suitable for me. So it was fine. It's just that initial awkwardness, because they're always going to assume that you speak French, at the beginning at least. But as soon as they hear you say a few words or look at them with a blank look on your face, usually most people figure it out. So thus far, France has been pretty good in that regard and hasn't been much of an issue. right, here's the sign for the hotel. So the hotel that we're staying at tonight is not just for one night, but for two. So you stay here for 2 nights, and then tomorrow we go on like a day ride around this area. So it's kind of nice, you don't have to move your things every single night of the tour. Some horses over there. Well, it's been a really nice ride today. Today, I'm clocking in 50 kilometers right now, which is actually longer than yesterday. But today actually feels like half the distance. I think just because the middle section of the ride today was so flat. Very easy, really enjoyable. The only hill was that one hill at the beginning, and I actually think that was my favorite part of the day. I really enjoyed that section. And we got lucky with the rain as well. Only about an hour's worth of rain, and it was just barely sprinkling. So, really nice day of cycling. Got a gate here.
Wait.
Hello. I have a reservation for tonight.
Yeah.
There we go. Nice.
Alright, so here I am in the hotel dining room. There's nobody else here, so I'm eating dinner by myself, which is kind of funny. So the chef is cool about it. So yeah, we had some like tomato starter, mushroom risotto, a cheese plate, and then I think there's maybe one more. We'll see. Good morning, Darren Alf here from BicycleTouringPro.com. Today I am not moving hotels. I'm staying in this same hotel room tonight. So it's kind of nice because I don't have to pack up all my stuff today. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on a short bike ride around this area and then return to this hotel in the evening, have dinner, take a shower, and then go back to bed again. And then tomorrow I will in fact move to a different hotel. So today should be a really, really nice day. The sun is shining, the weather looks great. It's a little chilly outside, but I think it'll heat up as we get closer to noon here. This morning I went down and had an amazing breakfast here in the hotel, and now it is time to ride my bike.
Alright, so I'm on the outskirts of town now. I picked up some sunscreen at the supermarket back there. It cost 11 euros. Sunscreen's always expensive, but it's a little more pricey here than normal. I'm getting a late start. It's 12 o'clock right now, 12 noon, so I was lazy this morning. But really nice weather right now, so that was the advantage to waiting till just a little bit later in the day, is the sun is out and it feels really nice. So I pulled over here. This is the sunscreen that I bought. Now I'm going to give you a tip. When you're bicycle touring, try not to buy these big bottles like this. Unfortunately, this is all they had, the only kind of sunscreen they had. I usually try to get my sunscreen or all of my toiletries in a tube, so that as I use it, the container that the lotion or sunscreen or toothpaste or shaving cream or whatever is in gets smaller and smaller as you use it. This bottle is going to remain the same size and take up the same amount of space inside my bags, no matter how much of it I use, which is unfortunate. But like I said, this is the only one they had. Kid sensitive, protect and play. I hate the smell of sunscreen. Like, gag. Oh, yuck. The good thing though about putting sunscreen on a bike tour like this is that I know that I'm going to have a shower at the end of the day. Sunscreen is a million times worse when you know that you're going to have to sleep in your tent at the end of the day and have that sunscreen all over you. Yuck. Alright, we're going up in the hills now. This is beautiful. There are no cars on this road. I have the road entirely to myself. Weather is perfect. The grade is not so big. I'm still going 19 kilometers an hour uphill. Oh man, this is nice. This is the dream right here. Woo! Alright, I'm on my way back to the hotel now. I'm on a quiet country back road with the vineyards off to my right here. That's the thing about this trip is you're either in the countryside on a quiet road, like really quiet road like this one, or you're in these little villages which are kind of crowded, but there's a lot to look at and really nice to see. So it's a bit of a mix of the two. The tractor just passed me. Yeah, so it's just a mix of these two things, like quiet country roads with lots of vineyards, pretty scenery, or scenic but crowded little villages and towns. All right, so I just finished another day of bicycle touring in southeastern France. Today was the third day of cycling on the Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour with Belle France, and there are two things I wanted to mention about today. First of all, because I'm on a self-guided bicycle tour, and because today was a loop day where we basically spent 2 nights at the same hotel, I could have done whatever I wanted to today. Like if I wanted to stay in bed all day long, I could have done that. If I wanted to go into town and explore the town a little bit more, I could have done that. If I just wanted to hang out at the hotel and go swimming or something, I could have done that. Instead, I chose to do the bike ride, which is what most people I think will do when they participate in this bike tour, and it was a very good ride overall. Once again, there was a hill going up to the Abbey today, and that was probably my favorite part of the entire bike tour. Why are the hills on this bike tour my favorite part? I don't know, but the scenery, the fact that there's so few cars on the road, I guess all of that combined into making that my favorite part of the day. And then reaching the Abbey and stuff at the top was just kind of a little reward once I got up there. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about from today. The second thing that I wanted to mention was the food at the hotel tonight, because I've been at this hotel for 2 nights now, and the food has been really, really good on both nights. There's a mosquito or something. Now the first night that I was here, the chef came in just for me to make me a meal, because I have been the only guest at this hotel for the last 2 nights. This particular place is used for weddings and big, I don't know, events and parties and stuff like that on the weekends, but during the week it's a bit slower and they host normal travelers like myself. And so on these 2 days that I just happened to be at this hotel, I am the only person here. So the chef came in last night to make me a very special French meal, which was really, really good. And then tonight, the manager of the hotel, it wasn't the chef, but it was someone else. I don't know if he was the manager or what his actual job title is, but I'm calling him the manager. He came in and he made me a meal tonight, which was honestly just as good or maybe even better than the actual chefs at the hotel. So I really enjoyed the food tonight. The food last night was really good as well, but they're really, really spoiling me here at this hotel with the food. It's just been so, so good.
So I just finished breakfast and the time has come for me to say goodbye to my really nice hotel here. Today I am cycling about 30 kilometers to a very special place. You're gonna have to stay tuned to find out where I go. But it's gonna be a very special accommodation with a very special meal tonight at a Michelin star restaurant. So I'm all packed up, I'm ready to go. It's just time to say goodbye to my little place here.
And just like that, we're back on the bike and on our way. It's another nice day here in France. The weather is pretty clear, like the sky is almost entirely blue in every direction that I look. One of the things that I haven't been showing you about this bike tour on camera is the people that I've been meeting along the way at the hotels and stuff, simply because I can't just stick a camera in a stranger's face and start recording them. But everyone has been really nice, actually. And as I said previously, like, France has a reputation of being somewhat like rude to strangers who don't speak French or something. But all of the people at each of the hotels has been really, really friendly and accommodating, considering I only speak a few words of French. So really, really nice. These people at this last place I really liked. Like, I would be friends with them in normal life. So I've turned off of the route, the recommended route, because I saw on my map that there's a cave over here. And I've just arrived at the cave, and there is in fact a cave here. Here it is. I'm gonna go inside, check it out. Huh. It's pretty small. Someone's had a campfire here, obviously. You could camp in here for sure. It's definitely big enough. You can tell there used to be like a door or something on here, so they maybe were using this for storage, maybe for the farm. They're growing like olives and stuff around here. So maybe this was part of like the farm. I'm not sure. Very cool though. Little detour. So I've dropped off my bicycle and belongings now at the hotel, and I'm taking a short walk up the road to the chateau and village that's located at the top of this small cliff overlooking the entire region right next to my hotel. So this was easily the shortest day of cycling on the entire Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour with Belle France. But it was the shortest day of the tour because there was a lot of things to see and do along the way. And one of the biggest things that I did on this particular day was eat dinner in a Michelin star restaurant. Before I talk about the restaurant, however, I need to talk about the hotel that I was staying at. First of all, I can't say the name of this hotel. I can't say the names of any of these hotels or cities that I'm traveling through here in France. So I'm gonna pop the name of the hotel up on the screen right now so you know what I'm talking about. That hotel is the nicest hotel I think I have ever stayed at anywhere in the world. This is a hotel that I'm gonna be telling people about for years and years to come. When I think about memorable places that I have stayed in the world, this is probably one of the top 10 easily. As far as luxury goes, it's just, this is the place. Like, this place has everything. They have multiple swimming pools. The rooms are super nice. The hotel staff was incredible. There are tennis courts. There's goats. There's, I mean, just so much. The grounds themselves were so beautiful, not even to mention the rooms that you're staying in. So, yeah, the hotel is just like, boom, 11 out of 10 stars, if that's even possible. Then there's this Michelin star restaurant that's associated with the hotel. And on this particular evening of the Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour, you eat at this Michelin star restaurant. Now, I did not go into the restaurant with my camera. I did bring my phone and I was able to snap a few pictures while I was in there, but I did not record the dining room or the dinner or me sitting at the table or any of that because this restaurant was so fancy that I felt really weird bringing my camera in there. There were other diners who had nothing to do with me, the Bicycle Touring Pro or Belle France or anything. They were just regular people who paid for dinner at this very fancy restaurant, so I didn't want to bring my camera in there. But I did want to tell you about the experience because eating at this Michelin star restaurant is something I'm definitely going to remember for years to come. The first thing that, well, I was nervous about eating here, first of all, to be honest. And I was nervous because, one, I was on the trip by myself. Most people who go on this bike tour go with a couple or a couple of friends or something like that. There's a bug. And I was there by myself. So right away, I just felt kind of weird eating dinner by myself. Second of all, I had to wear fancy clothes, which many of you who have seen my videos know that I'm not wearing fancy clothes very often. 3, I don't speak French. And 4, I'm a vegetarian. So I had all of these things kind of like going against me. But I went to the restaurant. I show up. I'm a party of one. They knew that I was coming. I had a reservation, of course, and they sat me down. There was like a maitre d' who was the main person that I spoke to throughout the evening, and he showed me to my table. Was very nice. Spoke English, and basically greeted me at the restaurant. Then over the course of the next 3 hours, yes, dinner took 3 hours to complete. Over the course of the next 3 hours, I was served a variety of dishes. There were supposed to be, I think, about 7 courses on the menu, and there ended up being like 13 or something like that. It was crazy. This is a restaurant, and this is a hotel that goes above and beyond your expectations. The hotel and the restaurant, I got the feeling that, like, if you go in there expecting a 10-course meal, they're gonna give you a 20-course meal. If you go in there expecting 5-star service, they're gonna give you 10-star service. And honestly, like, that's how my experience was on this particular day of the tour, and this was definitely my experience eating dinner at this particular Michelin star restaurant. So they bring in the first course, which wasn't even on the menu. It was like a little appetizer before the menu even started. And so right there I'm getting like one course that's not on the menu. See what I mean? And so they bring it out, and it's this like 3-tiered plate, white plates like in tiers, and then on each tier of the plates there was like this tiny little pebble-sized piece of food. And the waiter comes over, they put the 3-tiered plate down in front of me, the food is there, they bring over a set of fork, a knife, a spoon, they put that all in front of me, and they explain what this is. You know, each one of these 3 little pebble-sized pieces of foods is a different thing infused with asparagus and all this kind of stuff, and they explain it to me, and then they walk away, and I'm supposed to eat this. And my first thought was they brought over a fork and a knife and a spoon. I can't remember if the spoon was there for the first course or not, but they bring over the fork and the knife, let's say, and each one of these things is so small. I mean, it's like the size of my pinky finger, you know, that like the size of an M&M. And I'm sitting there going, am I supposed to use the fork and the knife to cut this little pebble in half? Or am I just supposed to pick it up and put it in my mouth and eat it? In the end, I just picked it up and put it in my mouth and ate it. But after I did eat the 3 little pebbles from the first course of my meal, they came over, took the plate away, and they also took the fork and the knife away, which I didn't use. And then they came back a moment later with the second course, which was something that was actually on the menu, and they put down a new knife and a new fork and a new spoon and a new plate and presented the second course of the meal then. So this happened for each and every one of the courses, and like I said, I think there were about 13 courses throughout the entire meal. So I had 13 different knives and forks and spoons and plates presented to me throughout the course of this 3-hour meal. Now, I am far from a food expert, but I was able to look at the food that was presented to me and know that there was a lot of time, effort, and energy that went into each and every one of the courses that was presented to me. And I know that not only because of how it tasted, but also because at the end of the meal, the chef came out himself and spoke to me at my table and was asking, trying to get my feedback actually on the meals that he gave me, what I liked, what I didn't like, and he was very curious to know, as a vegetarian, what I thought of his meals, because for him, serving a vegetarian meal was not something that he was necessarily used to, but that he had done in the past, but he didn't do frequently. So I was really the only person in the dining room that night that was eating a vegetarian meal, and I definitely ate differently than the other people in the dining hall. So he came out, the chef himself, and he was asking, he just wanted to get my feedback at the end of the meal on what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy. My favorite 2 dishes that I was served were a carrot dish, which was like a raw carrot stuffed inside of a cooked carrot with carrot infused sauce on top. And then there was a beet dish, which was like beets. I don't know how they were cooked exactly, but it had these little like crumbles on top. So it was like a combination of like soft beetroot mixed with like chips or something on top. It was just a really nice texture. So those were my two favorite dishes. And then, like I said, the chef came out and talked to me for a little bit, which was very nice. And I was sure to compliment him on the meal I had just eaten. And then after the whole 3-hour meal was over, I got up from my table and left the dining room. And as I was about to leave the restaurant, I was presented with this little pastry that once again was like a little bonus that I did not see coming. It was an extra that the restaurant added to their already incredible service. So it was a little pastry that I took with me that they said I could eat for dessert, or that I could have the following morning for breakfast or whatever. And it is in fact something that I ate the following day. You'll see it in my next video. I ate it kind of for lunch. So anyways, overall, this was just like an incredibly memorable day of bicycle touring. It's probably one of my most memorable days of cycling and traveling that I've had in a very long time. Not only because the day was like incredibly luxurious, but because each and every experience that I had at the hotel, in that old town at the top of the rock, and in the hotel, all three of those experiences like combined in this tiny little area just made my day on the road incredibly special and incredibly memorable. And that's why I like to go bicycle touring, is because not every day on the road is super memorable. A lot of days on the road I kind of forget, you know, like the roads all start to look the same. But then every once in a while, a day like this happens and it sticks with you. And I know that this particular day of bicycle touring on this particular bike tour with Belle France is going to stick in my mind for a very long time. Good morning, Darren Alf here from BicycleTouringPro.com. I just left my hotel, which I did not want to leave. It was so nice. And now I am climbing up a short hill over the mountain to the town of Saint Remy here in southeastern France. Now today there's two options. One, I can go straight to my hotel, check in and rest or see the city. There's some tourist things to do in town. Or I can go on a short, like 28-mile bike ride, I believe. It's 28 miles, 34 kilometers, something like that, in a loop that kind of goes around town and then back to the hotel later tonight. So my plan today is to go on the bike ride, do this 28-mile bike ride loop, go back to my hotel later tonight, shower, eat dinner, and then tomorrow I'm going to stay in Saint Remy and do the touristic things, see the city a little bit and that sort of thing. So that is the plan for today and tomorrow. But right now, I need to get back on my bike and climb over this mountain. All right, I made it to the top of the hill. It was a pretty easy climb actually, just a little bit of traffic on the road. It's all downhill now to Saint Remy. Should be a very enjoyable ride today. Okay, so I made it over the mountain and I am now on a quiet country back road heading east past the city of St. Remy, kind of towards the airport, and then I will loop back around towards the town later this afternoon. The weather today is perfect. I'm in my jersey. It's not cold, it's not hot, it is 100% spot on. I made it to town here, so I'm taking a little lunch break. Last night at the restaurant, when I was having my dinner and leaving, they gave me this. I'll open it up so you can see. It's like a pastry of some kind, and it looks really nice, so I'm gonna eat it now for lunch. Alright, so I've gone about as far as I'm going to go today. I'm on a very quiet country road. Haven't seen a car in about 10 minutes, but I'm on my way back to town now. Bonjour. After a full day of cycling around the region, I made my way back to the city and checked into my hotel. Before it got dark, I decided to take a walk around the city center and then get some dinner at one of the restaurants near my hotel. In the morning, I took another short spin around the city center before walking approximately 2.5 kilometers to the ruins of the ancient city of Glanum, which dates back as far as the 6th century BC. The most interesting part of exploring this ancient stone city, in my opinion, was seeing the aqueducts, which were made of stone and ran from the houses down the middle of the street and out of the city. Finally, on my way back to the city center, I stopped to visit the St. Paul Asylum, which is a psychiatric institution where the famous painter Vincent van Gogh committed himself in 1889 and lived for approximately 1 year. During his stay in the asylum, Van Gogh created numerous paintings and drawings, many of which lived on to become his most famous pieces of work. This is where the entire bike tour came to an end. And it's interesting that the Provence Prestige and Vélo bike tour ended with a tour of the asylum where Vincent van Gogh spent a few years of his life and painted a bunch of his most famous paintings. I didn't know much about Van Gogh before this, although I had seen many of his works over time. But only once I arrived in Provence and completed this bike tour and then went to the asylum where Van Gogh actually lived and painted some of his most famous pieces, only then, once I got there, did I realize how Van Gogh was inspired by France to paint his paintings. And not just France, but this particular region of France. And so it was really interesting that I kind of came into this bike tour not knowing much about this particular part of the world. Obviously, I'm like mispronouncing the names of all these places. I don't speak any French, but I felt like on the last day of this bike tour that I came out of the experience with a greater appreciation for not only France, but this particular part of France, and also for Vincent van Gogh. Very, very interesting going to this asylum, and it was actually something that I thought I was gonna skip. I was like, oh, I'm not too interested in going there. Maybe I'll just skip that part or whatever. But I'm so glad that I didn't, because it was the trip to Vincent van Gogh's asylum that actually brought this whole trip full circle for me. There's just something about seeing Vincent van Gogh's paintings next to the landscapes that inspired him to paint those paintings. Put the two together and it was just like, and that's kind of the way I feel making this video now, is like, hopefully you watched the entire video from my trip here in the Provence region of France, and maybe this video will inspire you in some way to go off on your own bicycle touring adventures, whether in France or somewhere else in the world. So I want to thank you for watching. Once again, I hope you enjoyed my travels here with Belle France in southeastern France. And if you want to learn more about this particular bike tour, maybe you'd like to do this bike tour for yourself, with a loved one, with a friend, with a group of friends, be sure to visit the official Belle France website at bellefrance.com, or go to my website at bicycletouringpro.com and search for Belle France. Once you do that, you'll find my full review of this particular bike tour, as well as all of the photos I took from the tour and the full video from my trip here in southeastern France. All right, that's it. I am Darren Alf from BicycleTouringPro.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you out on the road sometime soon. Au revoir! Au revoir, mademoiselle! Au revoir, monsieur! Au revoir! My French pronunciations are so bad.